Okay, so this is our tests. You go to the test tab, you go to the bottom, and there is the three exams, the three tests. They're essay tests. They will go live like quizzes on Wednesday, and you have until Sunday at 11:59 p.m. to hand them in. Now, you will have 180 minutes, 3 hours to take that exam. But it ends at 11:59 on Sunday. So if you start at 11 o'clock on Sunday night, for whatever reason, you start that late, you only have an hour. You have given yourself only an hour. It ends at 11:59 and it will automatically submit. So use your time wisely. Plan your time wisely. You'll have 4 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 5 days to use your time. So what happens? So we have test one. You'll say, take the exam. It will say, are you sure you want to take the exam? And you'll say, yeah, I'm sure. I'm going to take the exam. All right, so there. We're counting down. 180 minutes. Now, this exam is not a 180-minute exam. There is absolutely no reason you should be taking the exam 3 hours from this point. If you are taking the exam 3 hours, sitting there typing away, you have done something terribly bad in studying for this test. This is the same exam I give my 60-minute Monday, Wednesday, Friday kids. It is the same exam I give my 75-minute Tuesday and Thursday students. So it is a 45-minute test. If you are doing it 3 hours, you have done something terribly, horribly wrong. My guess is you waited to see what choices you had in order to just try to figure out one. Well, you can't do that and do well. The lowest grade you can get if you submit something without plagiarism is an F. If you just submit nothing, if you say, Professor, I didn't study this, I'm going to give you an F because that's what it deserves. If you BS, if you just make stuff up, if you didn't study at all, didn't prep at all, and just kind of make stuff up, I am still going to give you an F. But I'm going to be upset about it because now you're wasting my time. At least if you submit nothing, you submit a blank test, you say, hey, prof, I didn't have it. I didn't take the time to study. I don't want to waste your time. I respect you. I appreciate that. I make a note of that. And I say, all right, you still got an F, but I respect the fact that you respected me. If you're just going to make stuff up. Last night on the news, I saw about a thing about Iran, and the Iranians were the Persians, but now they're... I'm going to give that an F. So have your stuff prepared. The more prepared you are, the better off you are. Now, here are your choices. So, look, we had 5 study questions. Look at how many you have to choose from. 1, 2, and 3. I'll make this a little smaller so you can see. 1, 2, and 3. Nice. You pick one of these. Now you have to answer both parts, A and B, but you pick one and you say, I'm going to edit the answer. And this comes up. Now, the test instructions are to answer 1. If you answer all 3, I'm only going to grade 1. I am not grading the best one. I am only grading the first one. And I'm going to ask you, why didn't you follow the instructions? What did you hope to gain by that? What are you doing? Why would you do that? But mostly I'm just going to grade the first one. And what you've done is taken the time that you could have written a really good essay for one essay, and you've now divided it between 3 essays. So each essay is 1/3 as good as it could have been. that brings us to the edit answer. So we're going to edit this answer. Notice how if you pick 2, it doesn't go away. So it stays open. That's fine as long as you don't start filling it in with stuff. So you can just leave it. It'll be fine. The answer goes in here. You can type, hit return, look, new paragraph. Wonderful, beautiful formatting. It's already taken care of. So you don't have to worry about indenting. In fact, I think indenting is very difficult. Since this is really an HTML markup type thing, it's not really easy to indent. So it doesn't matter. You get the separation, we're good. So look, hit enter or return, boom. See? Nice. Okay. That's for different paragraphs. For sentences, you just keep on writing. We'll get to the end eventually. Just keep on, and see, this is how it goes. So it will wrap around, and then you do this, and then you go, see? Very nice. How text must be submitted this way, in here. It must be submitted in here. It must be submitted in here. How it gets in here is your business. I don't care. But you cannot upload a file, you cannot add an attachment, you cannot email a thing. It must be added here. How it gets there is your business. There are many ways that you know how to get information into that box, into a text box. Pick one, whichever one it is. You could type it, as I just did, or a myriad of other ways. How you do that is up to you. So, but I will not accept attachments, file uploads, something other than text in that box. Why? Well, blame the people who came before you, because when I first started, I said, hey, just submit it. Just attach a file, it'll be fine. Turned out that we had massive problems. Why would I have massive problems with file uploads? People file upload all the time. Email is like 40 years old at this point. Why? Because it was the #1 way students wanted to cheat. Because they left it to the last moment. And so what they did was upload a blank file, or a corrupted file, or a file in a format that couldn't be read. Like an old WordStar file. And like, oh, how did that happen? I have no idea. Oh, why is it blank? And it must have been corrupted. Oh, and what they did was BS and then try to take that extra time, even if they pulled an all-nighter that night, in order to do the work. I know this is true because the moment I changed over to you must enter it into the text box, all of that ended. Suddenly I wake up on Monday, I go in, I download all the files, boom, they're all there. Nothing's corrupted. Nothing's in 14th century Portuguese. There's no WordStar. Suddenly, all those problems went away. So blame the people who came before you who tried to cheat, who used my niceness against me. It's a way to think about it. So you have to enter the text into the text box. When you are finished, however it got in there, when you're finished, you hit submit. And it will ask you, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this? Now, before we submit, I'm not sure. But you should also realize a couple things. One, I'm going to type a little bit. It will, every couple of seconds, save. You'll see a little line up here. A little blue line will appear. And let's see if every 20 seconds, 30 seconds, maybe even at the most a minute, but I think it's more than every minute, it auto-saves. And so, even if something bad happens, I should get something from you. So your power goes out. Part of your essay will be saved. I'll get it. And you can email me and say, oh, Professor, I lost power. Oh, I was in the middle of doing the thing. And here, I'm going to email you my proof that this is the essay I did, because it's late and you might not get it. So I want to prove to you that I finished it before midnight, which is always good. Proof that you finished inside the time limit is always good, even if it's an email or a file attachment, separate in the email, right? You go to the email and you file. Now, you go, well, wait a minute. Wait. How do you not know that's cheating? Well, because as a professor, I get this administration button. And in there, I can look at a report, which will tell me everything you did from the moment you logged on. And so I know which buttons you pressed. I know when you took the test. I know what you did. I'll have students who will be like, oh, I took the test and then I lost power and I don't know what happened and it's 2 days later and can I still get you something? And then I go into the report and what it is they started the test and then for 2 hours it sat there open. It says start a test and then test. And for 2 hours, nothing is autosave, nothing is going in. And the reason why is they looked at their question and went, oh, I got question 1.1, nomadic and settled civilizations. How do I answer that? And then they tried to figure it out right then with the test open. And they ran out of time or they got tired or they got sick of it and they went, oh, forget it, I'll do it in the morning. Well, I can see that. I can see the report of what you did. So I see, oh, you logged in, you didn't type anything, and then you just quit. Or you went back to other web study pages, or you did other things. Now, all I can see is what you touch in web study. So it's not like I can spy on you if you go and look at Yahoo Answers or New York Times or ESPN. That's a whole different thing. I'll tell you that up front. I'm not spying on your computer. But I can see what you do in web study, and that's the proof. Because a normal person who suddenly loses power or cats jumps on the computer, you'll see a behavior pattern of how one behaves when they're freaking out that they might not get the test. That is very different from someone who's obviously doing the test the moment they opened up the test. It just looks, the pattern of behavior looks different. So, now that brings us to a thing. If you hit timeline, if you hit about, if you even hit tests. Now, my thing comes up with stay or leave. I say, I'm staying, stay. But yours might not. But if you hit timeline, if you go to another thing, this test ends and it's submitted to me. Done. So don't do it. Once you start here, you're here. Don't open up other tabs and go elsewhere. That doesn't end the test, but why are you going to other tabs? Your test should be kind of right there, right with you. Maybe I have it on another program. All right, hey, we're going to open up Word somewhere. Sure. All right, we can move it over. No problem. That's not a problem. If you want to be safe, do all of that before you open up the test. But then you won't know what questions you got, so it's kind of hard to do. But the idea is you can't open up the timeline. You can't go to the audio lectures. You can't go and take a look at other tests or other quizzes. You can't try to re-log into the test. You leave this, it ends. And that's the end of it. So once you start the test, you have 180 minutes to finish. Then you hit submit. And then you hit OK. And boom. And now look, this is what I get. See, no answer provided. No answer provided. Nice and clean. I know you didn't answer those questions. And look, there's a nice text. I got it. I can download this as a text file, and that is what I will grade. That's what I will scan, and that's what I will resubmit to you in about 2 weeks. If I can get them back to you sooner, I will. But somewhere between 1 week and 2 weeks is the turnaround time. It always is. We have 90 students. It takes 2 weeks. Everyone's writing about, lots of people are going to write 1,000 words. I'm going to comment. I'm going to put lots of comments, especially on the first test, so that you have an idea of how to improve. And so this just takes time. So that's what it is. So that's how the test goes. So boom. This will be emailed back to you. Once I scan it, I will email it back to you. Everyone will get theirs back on the same day. And then if you wish to talk about it, you have to take a day. Don't just immediately write an email about how mad you are, because I will not read that. I will not engage in that. I do not engage in emotional conversations. You want to have a conversation, a rational conversation about how you can improve, I am happy to have that question. But if you just want to curse me out, just don't. Say it to whoever you want, just not to me, because I'm not changing your grade. Unless it's clear I made a clear mistake. Unless you go, wait, professor, here are your comments. Obviously, it's about another test, because that's not the question I answered. Take a look at what I wrote. I answered question number 2. Your comments are about question number 4. Well, that's totally fine. It can happen. It would be weird to happen, but could it happen? Of course it could happen. So anything can happen. So that's a perfectly fine, rational. But if you're just like, stupid professor, well, I can't engage in that. I won't engage in those conversations. It's not going to help you. It doesn't help me. And so, but if you want to have a rational conversation, you want to sit down and go, how do we improve? I said this. Why are you asking these questions about it? I thought I was kind of clear. And we'll go through it. And by the end, you'll go, oh, I could have done more. I could have written more. I could have been more specific. I could have given an example of how Cyrus is a good king. I could have given an example of how Ashurbanipal and the Assyrians were bad, were mean to other civilizations. That's the idea. I am happy to have that conversation, which brings us to email. The best way for you to get in touch with me is email, is this mail right here. Why? I have over 300 students. If you email me at cgennari@camdencc.edu, you will get mixed in with my face-to-face students. That's problematic because you guys are taking a completely different class. It's run differently. It has different topics. It's just done differently. Your questions will be different than their questions will be. Like, you may have a question. You'll be like, oh, there's this thing. And I'll be like, we just talked about that. Or, we haven't talked about that. But that's the face-to-face class. Whereas your class is different because it's on a different timeline. So the best way of getting in touch with me is this. I check it every day or every other day. We don't have to have immediate responses. No matter what the problem is, we can always take care of it. Education is a medieval institution. We still work on medieval time. So whatever the problem is, it's not a rush. It will always be taken care of. We will fix it somehow. If you desperately need to get in touch with me, certainly email me through the camdencc.edu website. But this is the best. But be sure you say, oh, I am in your online class. But this is the best place to do it because I'll have a record of it. It will be here. I can reply, write to you Whereas I can't reply to your web study account in Camden CC. And there's a good chance if you don't have a named account, if you're not Bob Smith at Gmail, there's a very good chance that it gets put into the junk mail folder and I'll never see it. So whereas here with this mail, I will always see it. It will always get to me, and you can even see when I read it. I know I can read when you read mine, or if it's been read. I think you can do the same thing. So the idea is within 24 to 36 hours, certainly within 2 days. If you do it on a Monday, by Tuesday I will have read it. If you do it on a Saturday night at midnight, I might not pick it up till Monday. It depends on the weekend. So now I will check more when quizzes and tests are coming in for obvious reasons. People leave things at the last moment and then they have problems. And so this is a good reason to do it earlier, because the earlier it is, the easier it is to solve any problems. But some people will leave it to 11:30 and then have a problem. I am unlikely to see that email. I might. Depends on the day. So, but if you have a problem at even on 9 o'clock, check back. Don't just write an email and be like, all right, now let's go party. We'll see what happens later. I might get to it in half an hour. I might get into it 15 minutes later because I'll be checking on test days. So you may be like, oh, I have this problem and I had this thing and I needed my test to be reset so I can keep taking it. I lost power. Can I keep taking the test? I'll go, all right, I'll take a look at the report. It looks like you lost power because there's save. Then stuff just stops and you go, okay, that seems to be the way it is. All right, here you go. Boom. Well, if you took off, then there's this thing sitting. I'm letting you take the test, and the minutes are counting down till 11:59. And the question would then be, well, wait, it's one thing if it's 2 hours later. It's another thing if I answer it 15 minutes later and be like, really? You didn't check back at 9:30? Just to see if maybe you could keep doing the test? So something to think about. It's a way of engaging in the material. But these are all rare. 95, 98% of people put the material into the test question, put the material into the test box, have no problems, bang, done, moving on. No issues. I grade them, email them back, no questions. Everything works out just great. That's 95% of the time. So that's the best. The mail is the best way to get in touch with me. There is one last thing. And it is in the syllabus. So we'll go to syllabus. Here, we'll take a minute just to take a look. This is a wall of text. Nobody wants to read this. I don't want to read it. I won't read it. This is you or someone who's writing to you. If you've seen this in the comment sections, like, no one reads this. Because what the writer is saying is, you go find my answer. Well, it's not my job to find your answer. It's my job. It's your job to tell me what your answer is. To share that with me. And that's the same thing in any kind of communication. We break things down in English by paragraphs. Each paragraph is a topic. So you break it down. So here's our little, just don't do this. It's very easy to avoid. Plagiarism and cheating. Plagiarism is using other people's information and claiming it as your own. Mostly that means going to Wikipedia, copying, pasting it into your test, and then submitting it. And acting like you wrote those words. My question to you, I will read some of this stuff, and my question to you is, why do you sound like an 18th century British historian who still has all your yous in words? And I'll do a nice little quick Google search, and boom, up comes the essay you stole it from. It took me about 8 seconds. I see where you stole it from. and I give you a 0. Because why? Because you cheated. And you should be punished for that. And it's a 0. Because you lied. And you're a liar. So the answer is, don't plagiarize. Don't cheat. Do your own work. If you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, family member, best friend in the same class, and you both submit the same test, I'm going to give you both a 0. So don't do that either. Do your own work. What could possibly be the point of taking a class that you're not going to do your own work in? The work is the point of the class. The test is the education. You are never going to care about Azurbanipal again. And I know that, and you know that, and we all know that. So what is the skill you're learning? The skill you're learning is how to take information and think about it. If you're using your best friend's test, then you failed at that skill. You have failed at that job. And what's worse is you've brought your best friend into it. So you get a 0. It is better. It is 50 points better for you to submit nothing, a blank test. I will give that an F, and I will say thank you for respecting my time, and you can still get a C. If you do really well, you can still get a B. You can't get an A anymore with an F. But there is mathematical ways you can even get a B in the class. With a 0 on a test, you are hoping to maybe get a D for your final grade. So just don't do it. All right, so that brings us to citations. What are citations? Citations are material you take from another place that you tell your reader are coming from another place. We have 3 locations you can take information. Now I know I just said don't plagiarize. This is not plagiarizing. Why? Because 1, you are telling your reader this comes from another place. This is not my work. McKay wrote this. Gennari said this. Plutarch wrote this. The second thing is, these are approved information. They come from the textbook, the audio lecture, and the primary source reader sources of world societies. That's our books. So you are always able to use the lectures, the textbook, or the source book / reader. If it's in there, there is a quote from Ashurbanipal saying, I am really mean, ha 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 ha. I am twirling my mustache to be really mean, ha 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 ha. You put quotes around that and be like, Ashurbanipal said, I am really mean, ha 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 ha. Quote, parentheses, reader, and the page number it came from. Now, if it's from the textbook is a secondary source. So the textbook might have that quote, but it's more likely to be Ashurbanipal was really mean, and he enjoyed being mean to people. Well, you would say, quote, Ashurbanipal was really mean, comma, he enjoyed being really mean to other people, end quote, parentheses, McKay, page 132, or whatever page that comes from. The audio lectures are a little different, but not very different. You just write audio lecture and comma, and then the episode title, Persians, Persian armies. You write the episode title. Don't write episode 3. I don't know what that is. Tell me what the title is. Why? Because it's more professional. It shows you're putting in effort. It shows you care about your presentation. All things that matter in your final grade. So now there are what gets cited? There are 2 ways, there's 2 things that get cited. There are quotes, which means the exact words the person said or wrote. There's also paraphrases, which are not the exact words, but are your words that indicate the same thing. So one of Sumerian's most remarkable inventions was wheel transport. That's a quote from an old textbook, Ralph 29. Okay? You don't want to say that. It doesn't work in your essay, but you want to say the Sumerians had wheels. So you change it up to wheeled vehicles were very important invention of the Sumerians. That is the same idea. The Sumerians invented wheels. Same thing. Wheeled vehicles. Same thing as this, but the words are different, but the meaning is the same. You would still put Ralph 29 because you're taking Ralph's idea and you're putting it in. Now, wait a minute, Professor. I know what you're saying. If I have to cite everything I take from the textbook or the audio lectures, won't everything be a quote? Won't everything be cited? Won't every sentence be cited? In actuality, that tells you you're writing a summary. You're writing a summary. Because what should be in a paragraph is a quote, a fact from someplace else, and then your explanation of what that means, of why that matters. Let's take a look at the test model. Test model. So here, textbook. 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 Notice there's one use of the textbook, one quote in each paragraph. And yet there's a whole lot of other words. Here's the introduction to the quote, where I set it up. Here's the quote itself. And then here's the explanation. Notice how much longer the explanation is. It is 3 sentences, 4 sentences long as compared to the 1 sentence quote. That's how you do this. You use the information from other places, but most of the words are yours because most of the essay is you explaining why you're right, why this is the answer, and how you know you're correct. That's you explaining this fact, this quote, this information, and how it equals your answer. So there is this, the proper format. There's what gets cited. There is plagiarism versus cheating. Just don't do it. Don't even think about it. You'll do way better if you don't even think about it. There's the block of text. You have to try, literally try to do something like this. And let's face it, you do this, what do you think you should get? Do you think you should get an A for this? Come on. So you wouldn't read it. If someone submitted it to you and said, hey buddy, what do you think of this? You'd be like, I don't know, what the hell is this? So, okay. So we have 3 essay tests about every 4 weeks. We have 7 quizzes. There's the 6 content quizzes plus the syllabus quiz. That makes 7. We dropped the lowest grade. You should also understand that. We do drop the lowest grade. So there are no more readings from the source book on the quizzes. It is straight textbook because of the problems we've had. So, you know, I needed to have a syllabus ready for you on day 1. The unfortunate thing is a lot of the textbook stuff happened after the first day of class. I had everything set up. And then they changed it and they dropped it on us, on you, on me. And so we're dealing with that fallout. But otherwise, these are the books you want, these 2. These are the books we're going to use. You'll get all 3, but these are the 2 books you're going to use. We're going to have tests. We're going to have quizzes. There's the audio lectures to listen to. There's the test study guides. There's the quiz study guides. And that's the class. That is the entire class. I hope you enjoyed these videos. They're not really lectures. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope they are helpful. I hope they explain everything you could question. Good luck. Thank you. Take care.